You arrive at Gordon Murray Automotive's latest creation, and here it is, the T.33. Wow, you've done it again.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I had purposely not seen this car in the flesh until right now, and it is stunning. It's beautiful, it's pretty, it's classic, it's mind-blowing. So what were your inspirations with it?
Oh, definitely the 60s. So the 60s were the period that I grew up watching racing, and the sports cars, and the racing sports cars from that period was always my favorite, and still are my favorites.
They're beautiful.
It's not retro, it's just taking elements from that and putting it in a modern shape.
It's absolutely beautiful, and every time I'm looking here, seeing that the light hitting different panels, I'm getting different shapes from it. You must be really proud of this.
No, I think we all are, the whole team, and it's a pretty little thing, and hopefully it'll still look pretty in 20, 30 years' time. That's the plan.
When you say little, give me some idea of the size, because it looks quite it's got a lot of presence. It looks quite a big car.
Well, it's actually slightly longer than T50 by a few millimeters and the same width. So that puts us exactly Porsche Boxster footprint.
Oh, I would have said it was a lot bigger than that. That's well done. Great packaging, well done.
Yep. Kevin Richards and myself, my creative director, you know, in the beginning when we first announced the next car, people thought it might be just another version of T50, but actually it couldn't be more different.
No, I mean, start was 2 seats, first of all.
Yep. Completely different architecture, different chassis, different running gear. I mean, it really is, once again, a clean sheet of paper.
Well, let's get into the details, because we love to do that. We'll start at the back. So X-Track gearbox?
Yes, except this time we're offering it with a manual like 50, but we've also done a brand new gearbox with X-Track, which is paddle shift. And once again, a very usable motor car. Yeah, that's what we've always promised people.
So luggage in the front?
Yes, it's 3 luggage compartments. It's so we've got a front compartment, which is fairly typical on a supercar, but then we've got 2 side compartments here, a bit like 50. They top load with the suitcases, but it's rear hinged and they open sideways like this, like the old-fashioned suicide doors. So.
That would be dramatic outside the hotel, wouldn't it? Yes. Fantastic. So moving forward, I mean, 2 seats, as you said, but driver-centric again.
Absolutely. So everything driver-focused, secondary controls, primary controls, absolutely the same ethos as T50.
And the same quality of switch gear and all that.
We're not backing off at all. Anything we do will have engineering art.
Which is one of the principles of Gordon Murray Automotive.
Absolutely.
Traditional mirrors this time.
Yes, so the central driving position meant the mirrors would have had to be right in the middle of the front wing, which...
not a good look.
No. Kevin and myself just didn't want that to happen. But once you go to a conventional right or left-hand drive, and we're offering it in both, you can actually go to conventional mirrors.
So left and right-hand drive, so federalised as well?
Fully federalised, yeah.
Oof, must be a headache to get that.
Yeah, and a lot of money.
I love this crease. I love this crease line all the way down the front. And to me, walking up here, the first thing I saw were these beautiful, long headlights.
Yeah, that's a very 60s thing. If you look at all the pretty cars in the 60s, the headlamps weren't sideways, they were in car line, if you like, and narrow and slim. And it took quite a lot of ingenuity to get that to pass all the latest crash test regulations and get it to look like that.
I'm glad you did it, because it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with those.
I'm seeing the intake here. What's the story with that? Is it similar to the T50 design?
Yeah, so like T50, it's ram induction again, which gives us quite a few extra horsepower at high speed. But unlike 50, where this inlet is actually part of the monocoque on T50. This is a separate item, and this is attached directly to the engine like a 1960s or 70s racing car.
I'm thinking sort of the BT44, that big
Yeah,
tall
it's very
airbox.
much like that.
So the same Cosworth V12.
Yep, another version of that lovely V12. It's a different configuration. It's still the same basic block and heads, but quite a few different details, and it's still revving to 11,000 instead of the 12.
Spicy still.
That's enough.
Yeah.
And around 600 horsepower.
And the car weighing?
Under 1,100.
That'll get the job done.
Indeed, yeah. So it's still a few hundred kilos ahead of the opposition.
I think we know a lot more about this engine now than we did when we launched T50.
Indeed, I mean, when we launched 50, we all hoped it was going to be the world's best ever road car engine.
That's what we told people.
Now, you've driven it, and I've driven it. We know it is.
Oh, absolutely.
So obviously, the basic configuration, the block and the heads are the same as T50. But actually, it's quite a different engine. It has a completely new induction system and a new exhaust system. Completely different cams, mods to the cylinder head, different variable valve timing.
But still 3.9, still 3.9 litres?
Yeah, it's exactly the same capacity, same bore and stroke, but actually quite a different version of the engine.
But the same family?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is still, the throttle response on this compared, if throttle response is one thing, but if you couple that with a lightweight vehicle, you get instantaneous acceleration, and that throttle response I don't think will ever be bettered.
No, I think this is definitely the high point of the internal combustion engine. Let's go have one last look at it before we go. Talking about the family aspect of things, when you're making 100 cars at a time, you know all your customers, whether that's T33 customers, T50 customers, and they become, I guess, like family.
It's so important to us, the family feel and the customer journey, and feeling part of it, and understanding not just the car, but what goes into the car. And we're finding already with T50 owners, they're really enjoying that experience.
I really think you've nailed it. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, for our last non-hybrid car, it had to be something really special.
Mission accomplished.
Yep. You still got the T50 here?
I have.
Can I get a lift?
Yeah, but I'm driving.